Hello everyone, welcome to today's video, Secrets of Saturn. Before we begin, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and please press the bell icon for notifications so you don't miss any of my videos. Your support is greatly appreciated, so let's begin today's video. Saturn. Saturn is an air planet. It's cold and it's dry. That's because it's the furthest away from the sun. That's the personal planet. The outer planets are not really considered personal planets, but Saturn is the furthest personal planet away from the sun. So it's cold and it's an air planet. It is bitter. It's associated with bitter tastes and anything that's bitter. It's also associated with old and age. It's associated with being detached and isolated. Anything that is very secretive, being defensive. It is a malefic planet, and the colors associated with Saturn are black and blue. Saturn is a very slow moving planet, and it's associated with anything that is slow moving. So if you're a person with Saturn in the second, you could actually be somebody who talks very slowly or someone who suffers from a stutter. You could also, if Saturn is affecting your in the first house, you could also be somebody who comes across as somebody who's very mature and slow, and there's some mannerism that you have that is slow. You could be a slow walker, a slow talker, a slow eater. So that slowness comes into play with Saturn. So Saturn is the taskmaster. It wants you to work really hard. It will definitely reward you for your hard work, but not without the efforts. Um, it is also associated with your karmic actions, and it shows previous life karmic actions, and that is basically how Saturn is presented in this life. Is your previous karmas are going to play out in your material world, and your life will be sort of restricted and in the boundaries of Saturn, according to your previous karma deeds. Saturn can also show what profession you can be in. For instance, if you have Saturn with the Sun, that could show that you could follow your father's footsteps and you can be in the same profession as your father. It shows long distance travels, death, longevity. The factor of age is also seen with Saturn. So if you have Saturn that's affecting your marriage house, then you could be getting married to somebody who is much older than you. So age will show there. It also represents your ancestral property. And Saturn is associated with delays and problems and hurdles and obstacles. And Saturn also represents the masses. It represents service. And it also represents servants. And anything that is low class and low caste is also seen from Saturn. So people who live in slums, that's also seen from Saturn. Now, Saturn houses. So Saturn houses are the 12th house and the 8th house. So Saturn represents the things of these two houses. So you have the 12th house and you have the 8th house. Now the 12th house represents imprisonment, expenses and losses, foreign visits, foreign residence, and the 8th house represents death, inheritance, obstructions. So anything related to these houses. And Saturn also here represents taxes and in-laws, other people's money, and here it also represents isolation, detachment, um, higher higher spiritual pursuits. So moksha is seen from the 12th house. Now Saturn is the lord of Capricorn and Aquarius, and Capricorn is the 10th sign and Aquarius is the 11th sign. So it is the lord of Capricorn and Aquarius. Now Saturn is exalted in Libra and it's debilitated in Aries. And I will go over why that is the case. So it is debilitated in Aries. Now, Aries is the first house. Aries is the I am. Okay. And Libra, let's do this in blue. I shouldn't, oh, maybe let's do this in green so it stands out a little bit. Okay. And that is the 7th house. And the 7th house is for partnerships, your life partner, your business partner, your marital happiness, your sex life, looks, characters of your spouse and your partner, reproduction, your genitalia, any kind of sexual diseases. And the first house represents yourself, your personality, your constitution and appearance, your strengths and weaknesses, and your ability to enjoy your life, your intelligence, your fame. So this is all, if you're looking at Aries, this is everything to do about you. This is the house of you. And, well, okay, let me make a correction here. It's better if I explain it to you this way. This is the house of I, okay? And the partnership is the house of you, okay? This is the other people, okay? This is the others, okay? So this is basically how you relate to the other. So this is yourself, and this is the world, how you relate to the rest of the world, because this is outside of yourself. And how you relate to the world, to the others, is basically how you're giving of yourself. Okay? And I know this represents your partnership and your marriage. It does, but it also represents how you're giving to the world, how your exchange, maybe that's a better word for it, is how what you're giving of yourself in exchange to the world, how what services you're giving, what sacrifices you're giving to the other. And Saturn likes to work in partnership, and Libra is partnership. Okay, and that's the 7th house, is the house of partnership. Okay, so it likes to work well in partners, so therefore it's actually happiest there. Where a planet is exalted, it's happy and it does well. It works easily. Everything is a lot, everything flows better, let's put it that way. When things are debilitated, so Saturn is debilitated in Aries. Why? Because of the I am. Because here, Saturn's having to kind of work on its own. It doesn't have the partnership, it doesn't have someone else to fall back on. So here, you could actually feel like you have a lot on your plate, a lot on your shoulders. Your burden, you're carrying most of the burden. You're not having to, you don't have the partnership to kind of like, work through problems to actually, have that exchange that you have with a partner, to kind of share the duties, to share the responsibilities. So you're kind of having to do it on your own. And here, Saturn doesn't like that. You don't like that. The work seems tougher, it seems harder because of that. So it becomes debilitated which means, it's more of a struggle. It's not happy. So exalted is where Saturn is happy. Debilitated is where Saturn is not so happy. It will do its work wherever it sits, but it's not a happy placement for it. So the person will struggle with certain issues according to where their Saturn is placed if it's debilitated. So now Saturn deals with karma, and karma is your actions. It's the actions of your past life that you're bringing into this life, and it's also the karmas that you're creating right now, which you're going to carry forward. Okay, so nothing is without account. Everything gets stored into the karmic memory, and every action has a reaction, every cause and effect, right? So every karma will have its reward and have its punishment. And in the way of Saturn, it shows up as in boundaries and in restrictions. So with karma, you reap what you sow. So, for instance, if you're in this lifetime you're wanting to be a doctor, and you're wanting to be a doctor because you want to make lots of money, okay, and you're putting in the efforts for that, and for some reason all you're getting is delays and problems and obstacles, and things are just not working out. So now it could be that, because of your past karmas, Saturn doesn't want you to become a doctor. It actually wants you to become, mm, let's say, a lawyer. He wants you to uh, fight for people's rights, to defend people. That's your karmic, um, you know, that's your karmic baggage that you're carrying into this lifetime. So now every time you want to, work towards this is what you're going to get. You're going to get the problems. You're going to have to put in so much effort, and it's still going to create problems and have situations. They'll constantly have situations where you're at some point will look to other options. So let's just say that you're on this street of life, and here you're you know you're wanting to be your doctor, and then you know there's blocks and blocks and blocks, and this is Saturn blocking you, because these are the restrictions that the karma has created for you. It's created this blockage here, so you can't obtain this because that's not meant for you according to your karma. So what will happen is, if you recognize where your Saturn is and what you should be doing, then Saturn will direct you to your path. And in this path, you will actually still have to put in a lot of effort. A lot of effort. Here you're putting in efforts, and you're getting a lot of delays and problems. Here you're putting in effort. You're still getting delays and you're still getting some problems. But the only thing here is that you will at some point achieve. And you will not just be a lawyer, but you could be like one of the best lawyers. Very well known, very well to do, it will reward you handsomely in the field that you're supposed to do because it actually matches your karma baggage. So these restrictions and these boundaries, they will keep you in the lane that you're supposed to be in, and it will reward you, but only if you're doing what's actually set out for you in your karmic, your karmic actions that you've done in the past. So Saturn has a way of keeping you away from the things that you are working towards if it doesn't match your karma. Okay, now Saturn requires a lot of effort. Saturn requires a lot of sacrifice. So basically, your sacrifice is you giving up something. So you're giving up something, giving up something now to get something later. Now, that's really important for you to understand because this basically is showing that, you're going to have to put in a lot of efforts to sacrifice something now to get something later. So, for instance, if you're studying, what do? You sacrifice your time. You could be hanging out with your friends, you could be going out, but you're not doing that. You're spending all your evenings, all your weekends studying. And what happens later on, you actually have a good, well paying career. You have status. You have all the luxuries of life because now you can afford it because you have a good career. If you did not put in the efforts, you did not give of yourself of sacrifice, and you want to give now, you want to just not give up anything now, you will also not get anything later. Okay, Saturn will not, this is where the people think, oh, I didn't, Saturn is such a problem. This is where the delays, this is where the problems will come in, is when, you're not willing to give up the now. Saturn wants you to give up the now for the later. And a lot of people don't understand that. And once you understand that part of Saturn, you'll actually appreciate what Saturn does for you because Saturn gives a lot. If you give, Saturn gives. Saturn wants you to be in service. He wants you to provide services for others. He wants you to give of your time, and he wants you to know your duty and perform your duties constantly. Now, Saturn is it's a planet that gives laziness. Okay, which is it's kind of funny because it makes you lazy, but it requires you to do so much work. So you have to really, really kick yourself in the butt and say, okay, you know what? I don't want to do this, but I have to. Okay, I have to do this because it's needed. It's my duty. Okay, you constantly have to self motivate yourself, constantly. And Saturn is the laying down of foundations. So your house foundation, your educational foundation, even your moral foundation. Saturn is the laying down of foundations. And what is the laying down of? It's the effort and the time and sacrifice you're doing to you're doing a lot of hard work in preparation for something else. You're for now, you're putting in a lot of effort for something that you're going to be laying later. You're putting up the walls later. Now, if this now is not done properly, if you don't take the time and the energy to do the foundation of these things properly, then these walls will fall down. They will not last because Saturn requires you to do things properly. It wants you to take the time, work long, and work hard. It's also related to time, so you need to put in the time in order to, no pain, no gain, okay? So you need to put in the time, the effort, the energy, and Saturn will then later Saturn will reward. But now it's effort. Okay? So things that take a long time, things that take a long time to form, and things that are pressurized, such as like gold and gems, that's Saturn, because they take a long time to form. Okay, it's a lot of pressure. Saturn puts a lot of pressure on you when you're doing your work and you're putting in your efforts. You'll feel the pressure. Okay, Saturn wants to show you reality because Saturn is the planet of realism. It represents material. It makes things real. Okay, it is the worldly things, and this is why people have a problem with Saturn, because the things that we want in this world are the worldly things, you know, and what you lack is what you desire. Okay, so what you lack is what you desire. So the worldly things here are career, home, marriage, status, money. Those are the good things of the world that we all want and work towards, right? So if any of these fields are lacking in something, you know, then that's what we desire. Okay, that's where we're like, oh, that's the career is. It's no matter what I do, it's not working out. Well, it could be that you're in the wrong field. As far as you know, your home and your marriage, people with Saturn in the seventh take a long time to get married. They're looking for they're looking for the right partner. They don't just jump into any marriage. So they put their time and effort into finding the right partner so that they can have a long, happy marriage. Same thing with all the other things that are worldly here. Now, if you don't put your effort, you know, that Saturn requires into these things, you will not get these things. Okay, you will not. You will. Saturn will hold you back from wherever Saturn is creating a lack in. So, for instance, Saturn could be only affecting your marriage house. Okay, and if there you don't put in the right effort that you need to, then that's where you're going to have the delays, and that's where you're going to have your problems. And that's where you need to take a good hard look at the reality of what is in front of you and then work towards fixing that situation. You know, you could be very well to do in everything else, but that one placement or that one thing that affects that is affected by Saturn, that could be the one thing really holding you back. And the only thing to help with that is awareness. Okay, stay in reality and be aware of that reality, and that will really help you to make some changes. Now, what's the difference between a weak Saturn and a strong Saturn? So let's just say this is a glass of water. It's a very bad drawing, okay? And this is a glass of water. Now, both of these waters are half, you know. Now, the person who has a weak Saturn will see this as a big negative, and they will be very depressed by this. You know, they'll suffer depression. They'll be very pessimistic about this. They'll be very negative about this. They won't want to put in the efforts to make changes here. They're scared of changes here, okay, because Saturn creates fear. So they're afraid to make changes. They're afraid to look at reality for what it is. You know, they're in denial, and those things hold you back. So if things don't work out, they're more inclined to say, "Oh my God," they're more inclined to be depressed about it and give up, and you know, and put more delays in front of themselves because of the fear. Okay. Now, somebody with a strong Saturn still has the glass half empty. The situation is still not any different. They're both looking at a glass that's has the same amount of water. But the person with the strong Saturn will look at the reality of the situation here, and they'll say, "How do I fix this? How to change it?" Okay? Oh, how to change it? Okay? and they'll put in the efforts. They'll put in the efforts, and they'll put in the time, and they will sacrifice to make these changes. And then what happens is here Saturn starts to reward this person because they're doing what Saturn requires. Here they're having nothing but problems because they're not doing the things that Saturn requires. They're not looking at reality for what it is. Okay, reality is the same for both, but this person's awareness is what's causing the difference here. And this person is able to make the changes necessary. Here, because this person is in fear, they're not able to make the changes. And they're standing in their own way. Because Saturn isn't here to really punish you or to reward you in the sense where, he's not here to give you something or take away something that isn't yours to begin with. You've already created the karma that's bringing everything to you that is in front of you. It's your responsibility to look at it for what it is and to recognize that this is due to your own actions. This isn't Saturn's actions that are coming to you. These are your own actions playing out in your life in this lifetime. So, to be responsible for your own actions is the key here. Okay? So, Saturn creates fear, and it does create a lot of fear. It creates fear through your experience. And so, let's just say you work at a bank and the bank gets robbed. Well, you're always going to have a fear of working at a bank because there could be, you've already gone through the experience of being robbed. If you're, then you might decide, well, I don't want to work in a bank. That's a scary situation for me. I've already gone through the robbery. I don't want to go through anything like this again. So that fear starts to play out. Okay. Now, now you could look at fear. There's natural fear. There's fear and flight that we're born with. That's not the same fear that we have with Saturn. Saturn's fear is more experience related. It's something that you've gone through and you didn't like that experience. You don't want to go through that experience again. And so that fear holds you back from going forward in this life. Okay. Wisdom through time. Okay, so as you age and as you learn, Saturn will make you wiser. That's something that is definite with Saturn. It definitely will bring a sense of maturity to you. And Saturn also teaches you plenty through lack. Okay, now this is big because it holds you back from having what you desire so that you understand it better. And when you do actually understand, when you actually arrive at the rewards for your hard work, then you understand that plenty. You understand all the effort that you had to put in of when you didn't have the things that you desired. So let's say you wanted to get married really, really badly. That's your heart's desire to be married to your significant other. And it took you a long time to find that right person. Well, that lacking makes you understand and appreciate when you have the partner, you understand that at that point. So Saturn gives you that wisdom. Okay? The only thing that you have to worry about with Saturn is the fear. Don't fear Saturn. Okay? Saturn isn't here to hurt you. Saturn is just here to help you experience this material realm. Now, Saturn is very, very misunderstood. Like I was saying before, a lot of people fear Saturn. Saturn isn't Saturn isn't here to be feared. Okay, you need to make yourself aware of what Saturn requires of you. So look at your chart and look at where Saturn is sitting and what is it telling you, and then work with that. Work with that and be aware of it and accept reality for what it is, and work with it. If you can do that, you'll have a much easier time of life. You'll feel things moving a little bit more smoothly. You'll feel the restrictions easing up a little bit. And also, you'll have an understanding of why things are the way they are. And you'll be able to, when there is an awareness, um, the there's a lot of pessimism that actually goes away with that, because now you're becoming aware of why. You're understanding the why of things. So thank you for watching today's video. My channel is Astroloca. Thank you for your support. I appreciate any likes and comments. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I look forward to bring you more videos on such topics. Please comment below on any topics you'd like